Hi, this is Jeanette from Happy Spots and Ink Spots. Today what I'd like to show you is how to color this cute little Whiff of Joy mouse using Copic markers. His name is Henry Hugging Heart, and he can be found in the Christmas 2009 collection. Now he's already been stamped on Neenah cardstock using Memento ink, and I just want to mention before we start coloring that I always try to determine where my light and shadows are going to be before I start coloring. So in this instance, I'm going to be imagining that the light is hitting him from the front, right onto his face. So I'm going to be coloring the middle of his face slightly lighter, and there will be some shadows cast by his arms and by his paws here. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to be coloring first with my lightest shade, which is E50. And I'm not really coloring in circles. What I'm doing is I'm starting from the periphery and I'm making little flicking motions towards the center. Like this. So this way, the center of his face remains light. Okay. The next color is a little shade darker. It's E51. Now, if you work in small areas, like I'm doing now, you'll find that you won't have too much trouble blending afterwards. Okay, so there is a little bit of a line where the two colors overlapped. So I'm just going to quickly take my E50 and I'm going to go over that, and that blends out any line that I may have made. Okay, so then my darkest shade is E53. So I'm going to be putting that in the areas where I would expect to see the most amount of shadows. So back here, and then using the same flicking motion, starting at the edge, I just flick inwards, but I'm being careful not to go too far, because if I do, I'm going to lose all my different grades of shadow. Now generally I move my paper around when I color. I find that easier, but since I'm taping this, if I do that, I think it'll be hard for you guys to see. So once I think I have the shadows as deep as I need, I'm going to go back now to my medium color, E51, and I'm going to blend out the line I just made, just like that. Okay, and then finally I go back to the lightest shade, E50, and I blend out that line. Now you notice I'm not coming over here and coming over, because if I do that, it will drag the color out. So I'm really just starting where I see the line and flicking from there. Okay. So you can see that the center of his face is paler, and out towards the edges it's darker. Alright, so I'm going to continue with my E50. I'm going to do his body, his arms here, and you'll notice I'm not being too careful about getting every little spot, because I know I'm going to be coming back and blending. Okay, so that was my E50. I'm going to take my E51 now, start laying in a little bit shadows. Along the tail here. Okay. Now you're going to notice I went out of the line here, but I'm going to show you how to fix that. So I go back to my E50 and just carefully get rid of my blending line. Then I take E53. So remember, it's my darker color. I'm just going to put it where I'm going to see the deepest shadows. So under here, a little bit here, back here, the tail, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my E50. Because it's such a small area, if I put too much ink in there, it's going to start bleeding outside the lines. So I'm able quite easily, using the E50, just to blend that out. Like that. And his tail. Okay, I'm going to take the E50 and I'm going to create a little bit of shadow here. Okay, because there would be shadow underneath his arms. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to use a colorless blender to fix the areas rather than outside the line. So here we go. Here's my colorless blender. It's 0. So I'm just going to turn this so it's easier for me to do. You can see here where I went outside the line. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a sort of pushing motion, just like that. And I'm going to push the color particles back into that area. Now you don't want to do too much because it'll start to bleed out the other way. Okay? And you can also use this if you want to lighten up an area a little bit. So if I wanted to lighten his face even more, I could start from the middle and sort of fan out like that. And that just pushes the color away a little bit. So I've just lightened it up a little bit more. And here, where I was trying to add some shadows to his belly, you can see this line here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to color over it like that, and it just blends away. Okay, here I could make it a bit lighter too, and maybe a little bit here on his tail.